Do a little bit better than that. Show me the money. When she completes it, if you're still tweeting, we are going to give away that first scholarship, and then at the end, we will give the analog version. So don't worry, I've not forgotten you.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. How are you? Have you been able to spot where you can see the money? Welcome everybody. Gosh, I hadn't seen everybody upstairs. Hi. You know, sometimes I was sitting there, I'd forgotten I'm supposed to speak. In fact, when you're saying the lady who all this is about, I was waiting, who's coming up? I had completely forgotten I'm supposed to speak. It's going so well, I'm just happy to actually listen. And when I see this, and I see everybody here, we must be over 1,000 plus people here. Imagine there are 1,000 people plus who turned up today, because we're almost full, and you know this auditorium is 2,000, and we're at least at 60-70%. So I think 1,000 plus. I'm just amazed. And I'm amazed because I am such a person who makes so many mistakes, who continues to make so many mistakes. So when I look at this, I must realize it must be about something else. And all this that we're seeing, 1,000 people, when I started Centonomy in 2009, let me tell you, even convincing one person to give me 5 minutes of their time, this would be like, money. I don't need to learn about money. When I decided I'm going to go and teach people about money, I was told, people know about money. What's there to know about money? 1 plus 1 is 2. 5 divided by 2 is 3.5. 1 times 1 is 1. What's there to learn about money? But there's just something in me that was so bothered, and I think I was so bothered because of my own experience. But what it is we all have something called a seed in us. What you're seeing here, 1,000 plus people, is just simply the results of watering a seed over and over. And how does a seed grow? If I take a seed and put it here, is it going to grow? Why? It needs soil, right? So it needs to be put in the right environment, correct? So, even with wealth creation, we've got to ask, and Peter kept saying poverty support group. We've got to ask, have we been putting our seeds in the right environment? And if there's one thing I've learned over time, and what I'm going to share with you is not just my stories, things I've learned even as I continue talking to people. Everybody has something they can use. I don't care what you think your situation is, how bad you think it is, you all have something that can make you wealthy. The difference between the people who we see are wealthy and the ones who aren't is they made a decision to use it, to water it, put it in the right environment, yeah, and keep looking at it. Even the plant, I have to keep looking at it in case a leaf is becoming brown, then I need to know whether I need to use special water. So for just 1 minute with the person next to you, I want you to analyze, what do you have that you can use? You all have something. So this is not the conversation we talk about how things are bad. Oh, I know Waceke has asked, but you know me, I have debts, I don't have a job, you know, going into elections this year, But the Centonomy classes, we don't deal with what we don't have. We always start with, we are out to make what you have work. Talk to each other and say, what do you have? Come on. Force yourself to think what you have. The noise in the room. How much is in this hall? How much is in this room today? Yeah? Millions, billions, trillions. Donald Trump style billions. Yeah? He chose, let's face it, he may be different, but he chose to use what he had. And if what he had was a $1 million loan from his father, so be it. Yeah? And an attitude, so be it. And guess what? He's the president. Yeah? He just used what he had. Yeah? So, I'm not saying we all have to go that route, but it is a crisis, and the crisis we have in our country is this. We all have something, but what do we waste time doing? The excuses. Oh, but who do we blame? The government, and this year, oh, election, blah, 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 blah. Oh, but the employer, oh, they should always be paying me more, blah, 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 blah. Like the employer put a gun to your head and told you go borrow. Yeah? Who else do we blame? The economy. A lot of times we hear the Chinese have taken the opportunities. They're using what they have, yeah? So it is a crisis. We talk about many crises in this nation, corruption, all that, and I agree they are all crises, but there's no deeper crisis than an individual sitting with something only he or she was born with and not doing what they were supposed to do. If God decided today is it, Centonomy and all who came for the Centonomy of Pipende, I'm happy with you. Zapping to heaven now, instantly. Yeah? Zapping to heaven. And he asks you one by one as you walked through the pearly gates, what have you done with the seat I gave you at the table? He's waiting. So you'll be like, you know, all those things you are saying you have. He's like, that shows you have a seat at the table. What have you done with it? Oh God, you know, there were elections. Oh God, my employer. Oh God, my husband or wife. Oh God, you know, I still have small children who are going to school. Oh, all those excuses. Do you think God is going to be satisfied? And more so, even while you're here on earth, are you satisfied? Or is there something in you? Is there something that disturbs you? You may not even know what it is, but there's something in each and every one of us, correct me if I'm wrong, that is reaching out, that wants to come out because we know there's something bigger we're supposed to do. Am I right or wrong? Yeah? And it is a choice we have to make. Am I going to live my life in a way when I am asked, what am I doing with the seat at the table? I have something, I am in the process. We know we can never be perfect. But I am in the process, or when I'm asked that question, I'm simply going to play victim. I am going to resort to the excuses. And ladies and gentlemen, it is time to change. There's no other time but the present. And time is brutal. You know, I can lose money today, and then I get it back, right? I can lose 100,000 and then make it again, right? I can just, you know, say mistake one. But if I lose time, can I buy it back? So we've got to start understanding, even to create wealth, it is directly proportional to what we put our time in, who we have, what kind of conversations we are going to have, and what kind of life we are going to strive to have. Because as much as we make excuses, have excuses ever resulted in happiness? Have excuses ever resulted in you wake up passionate in the morning and saying, oh, what excuses can I come up with today? Have excuses ever made you more fulfilled? Have you ever been able to mentor someone maybe younger than you and saying, the route to go, my child, is excuses? Yeah? I don't think anybody is going to be inspired by the fact that you gave excuses. So we have to dig deep and ask ourselves, what am I waiting for? And more importantly, what do I want? What have I come with? Because you are in a position of privilege, every one of you. And privilege is you are given something. Privilege is that in this conversation, everybody talked about something that they have. And life is not about how much money you're starting out with. In Centonomy, it does not matter. We get people who have hundreds of millions already, but even in the hundreds of millions, they still know these principles we are teaching can help them make $1 billion. They're in the same room with someone who has 10,000 shillings. That person starts to benefit, first of all, already from the experience, a different environment for the seed, from that person who's been there before, but they also start to understand, how do I make my 10,000 100,000? Never compare your journey with somebody else. So it's not about how much money you have. It's about what are you doing with what you already have. Because when you're doing something, you enter almost a supernatural process of multiplication. Where now you see 10,000 becomes 100, 100 can become 500, 500 can become 1,000,000. You're in the multiplication. But to enter the multiplication, you have to get onto the bus. You don't get to Mombasa by standing at the bus stop, do you? You don't even get to Mombasa by planning and planning and planning. Planning is great, but at the end of the day, how do you get to Mombasa? Getting onto the bus. Some of you, as Waceke mentioned today, this is your 10th open day. Yeah? You're still at the bus stop. Yeah? So it's really each of us our own ways. What are we going to do to get onto the bus? And I'll tell you what I did. The wealth creation process is a journey. I'm still in it. I'm still learning. But it's first of all, it's a journey that will test your character. So, Centonomy started way before Centonomy started. So the official start date of Centonomy was April 2009. But, like any journey, and anything you resolve, any goal, if you have a goal that you want to do something in 5 years, you want to start a business, you want to have an investment portfolio, you want to travel, you want your kids to go to a certain school, you want to achieve a certain lifestyle that you desire, when does that start happening? Let's say the goal is for 5 years. In 5 years, let's do some of the examples we've had. I want to be earning 1,000,000 shillings every month without having to work for it. So if I decide to go for lunch in the Masai Mara, I go for lunch in the Masai Mara. Let's put that as the goal. When does that start happening? Now, a goal is not achieved at the point of result. A goal is achieved by starting to take action now, so that in 5 years you are actually benefiting from the result. So when I look back and say, what actually led to Centonomy starting? And I think there were a couple of lessons, some of which I learned very early on. Do you have those experiences you had, even as a child, that for some reason never leave you? That your experience matters. Everybody's experience matters. There's nothing, you have not wasted time because it has taught you something. And for me, the first profound memory I have was standard 6. Now, I was one of those people, school was neither here nor there, you know. I was like, yeah, study, yeah. I didn't quite bother, you know. I was not, the problem is I was just not interested in like subjects like science, yeah. I'm one of those people, sorry for any chemists who may be in the room, who I'm like, why do we have to cram the periodic table? I mean, who is it going to help? Some people have been helped, not me, yeah. But in standard 6, I remember they used to come and read out when you do a test from, you know how teachers were ruthless? From number 1, and you know if you receive your paper last, everybody knows how. The person who got 100%, then they go to 95, 70, 80. Then when we get to the 30%, that's where Waceke's name was being read. And one day I just had it. I just had it. I went home, I didn't even eat dinner. I locked myself in a room. I studied. Let me tell you, I've never studied like that. Even for my degree in USIU, I've never studied like that. I studied. Yeah? And the next day, we did the test. A couple of days after, when he's coming to the class, guess whose name was read first? Guess. No. But I was second, yeah? And, by the way, I defaulted back to my behavior of, oh, this is what it took. Okay, back to status quo, yeah? But what it taught me, and I look back, you've just got to have a had it moment. I've had it. So, linking that back to Centonomy, what was the I had it moment specifically for starting Centonomy? I was working. I'm earning okay. I mean, I can pay rent, I can go out. I'm even working in a financial institution. Yeah, my last job was, I'd worked for a company called African Alliance, then I'd worked for, it was then CFC, Stanbic now, but it was CFC. When you take clients out, they are very happy, they buy you lunch, you're so happy you are bought for lunch and you're fine, yeah? So something in me just started getting bothered by that. And that seed, I know I could tell, was not being watered. So I had it, and no reason, I decided the route was my own business. And remember, this is not just about business, this is my journey, but this could be in any other route. Yeah, the principles are always the same. When you've had it, you're going to do something differently. But have you had it? Have you guys had it? Anybody who's had it with status quo? Anybody who's had it with being told, this is as far as you get? And I think for me, that was what happened at my job at that time at the bank. We kept being told, this is as far as you can get unless I know you're who. Yeah? So I moved on and I started Centonomy. When we first started Centonomy, it was about shares, but as I did that and I talked to people and I went through my own lessons, I realized this is not it. The impact that I want to have is not here. So first, you move out of this life where you're comfortable. Yeah? And comfort is good, but comfort is bad. You understand what I mean? It's great you have nice clothes, a nice place to live, but comfort is also bad because it makes you think, gives you an illusion that everything will be okay all the time. And for me, that was the first time I had to face not having an income. What was the lesson there? What is wealth? Wealth is not the job title. Wealth is not the business or being a business owner. Wealth is not being able to pay rent and go to and eat lunch well and go out over the weekend and dress well. That is not wealth. When I realized I had to cut back so much of my life when I started the business, I was like, DSTV for who? Cannot happen. Sorry if you work with DSTV, cannot happen, yeah? I was like, lunch? Are you crazy? Buying lunch? And I used to spend 300 shillings on lunch. Interesting, everyone has talked about lunch today. 300 shillings on lunch without thinking about it, which is 108,000 shillings a year. Had to cut back on that. Friends tell you, come meet me where, what, when. You're now evaluating. I go and have 2 drinks. That can buy vegetables, milk, bread, not happening. Or you simply don't have the money. Showing up at parents' houses strategically at dinner time became the thing to do. Yeah? You don't want them to know how bad you're suffering. But even in that, I also learned it doesn't kill you to cut back. By the way, I realized how little I actually needed. And especially, let me tell you, if you have a bigger goal in mind, the cutbacks that you may have to do are no longer sacrifices. They're just it's just step 1. And when we start seeing the difficult decisions we may have to make on our road to wealth creation as a step in the right direction rather than sacrifices, yeah, it becomes a bit easier. So, as I was going through this, I did not, and I keep saying, you don't do these things when you're perfect. You don't go and take a class like this when you're perfect. I want you to get the irony in this. I started a company to teach people about money in the worst financial situation of my life. Do you get the irony in that? So I was there, Centonomy season 1, people, thank you so much, yeah? I was there teaching people about money in the worst financial season of my life, when even you are the landlord, writing letters to the landlord about how he can delay payments, yeah? But the lesson with wealth is it doesn't wait for you to get it perfect. Don't wait for a perfect situation. Don't wait for perfect money. If you have something you know you should do, just do it. And the world appreciates authenticity more than anything else. So we start Centonomy. Centonomy starts with trying to go to companies. Okay, first, before I go to start Centonomy, so migrating from the stock brokerage business into Centonomy, and that's simply talking to people. Now I have my own clients, I'm listening to them a bit more, I'm going through my own situation, and I'm also finding out that I am not alone. As I talk to people, I'm finding out, gosh, people are talking to me, I am not alone in my situation. Have you ever felt so alone in your situation? And I think one of the things that happens when people come to class, they realize I am not alone and there's a way out of this. So my motive first actually was, let's provide an environment where people can just first of all have conversations on money. Yeah, let's just talk freely about money. Let's all admit we do have challenges with money and not be judged because we have challenges, because nobody has it perfect. And you've had Kaleche, even the people we think have it perfect do not have it perfect. So that was the aha moment, that is now what I want to do. But had I not started the stock brokerage company, had I not had it, because I was not being given the promotions etc. I thought I should have, had I not started the stock brokerage company, Centonomy would not exist. So you don't have to have the perfect answer. You don't have to know exactly what you want to do now, but you just have to commit to the process and trust that the process will reveal to you when you are inside the bus. The bus will show me the money. Okay? So you have to be inside the bus. So we start Centonomy. We first try and approach companies, and we managed to do a few to train their teams on how to manage money. But we could tell. This is the thing about Centonomy. We believe with everything we do. This is why we do things like this today, free events like this. We believe everybody can and should be creating wealth. So when I was going through companies, it was fine, but I felt that the impact that really needs to come out cannot come out in a half a day or 1 day scenario. It can give you a bit of pointers, but for true change to happen, you think the way you think because of how many years you've been alive, right? So you can imagine what we're doing at Centonomy is sometimes challenging the way you think, but also sometimes telling you, in fact, the way you've been thinking, you're in the right direction. But to do that, we can't do it over 1 day. So I felt, and I was exposed to another program that did a class system, and in 2012, we started doing it in the class way. And over that time, we've had over 3,000 students who have done Centonomy 101, and over 500 who have done Campus Edition. So, other things, real lessons that have come out of Centonomy. Every day, I have to take the attitude of a student. From the first season, I had to create material to teach. Now, the way we've been taught in school is that you should go to a textbook, correct? But I understood impact is about practical solutions, things real people have done that have affected them. So what did I do? I went out and talked to people what they have done to create wealth, and in different ways, all the way from people who have created wealth in their careers, people who have created wealth in their business, who have created wealth by building investment portfolios, real estate portfolios, and the one thing that was similar is the principle. They have chosen different routes, but the principles are the same. So I had to go, remember I'm the brokest person at this time trying to do a wealth creation course, yeah? I had to go and learn from somebody else. So in life, if you want to create wealth, you cannot know it all. Until today, I don't know it all, and I know I have so much more that I have to learn. So it's really taking on the attitude of a student and being willing to learn at all times. And the best person to learn from is a human being, because they're talking from actual things that they have gone through. I have learned that wealth is an inclusive process. It is not a selfish process. Are there some myths we carry around that money is bad? Are there some myths out there that money is bad? Or if you have money, you feel like hiding it or you don't want to say? This is what happens when you create wealth. And let's give an example of, let's say you and your investment group, you go buy land. When you go buy land, and a couple of investment groups are buying land, there's something happening in that process. That means land agents, like Peter, are getting jobs. That means Peter and his family have an income. That means Peter can send money to relatives. That means Peter can pay an employer house help. Can you see the domino effect of you creating wealth? If you start a business, you're employing people. All those people who are employed will have families. Those families will employ house helps. Those house helps will send money home. They will take children to school. Do you see the domino effect? You buy a share on the stock market and the stock market goes up. The stockbrokers are happy. They put more people at work. More resources are put towards the stock market because there's more interest in the stock market. Can you see how we all play a part? So wealth is an inclusive process. Theft is not. Theft takes away from that process. But wealth includes a lot of people. That is why it is called wealth creation. When you create wealth, you will not know it until maybe God tells you, but you will see how many people you impacted that you probably did not know. Wealth creation, I've learned, is a process, not a result. It is not about, you can aim for a certain amount of money, but it is really about, are you engaged, are you enjoying the process? Because the process of wealth creation does something to you. As I said before, it will refine your character. You're becoming more disciplined, you're able to start seeing opportunities, you're able to see and hear things differently, you're becoming more persistent. There are things that used to bother me 5 years ago, now I don't even lose even a minute of sleep over. Yeah, because it has changed me. So wealth creation will change you. And because it will change you, you will start doing things differently, like how you spend your time. Yeah, you'll start doing things, who you want to hang out with, the kind of conversations that you want to have. You will learn to say no when you actually need to say no. I learned that wealth does not thrive in disorder. As much as I did not want to, I had to get to the level where I faced my financial situation head on. Because I was the kind of person who, if I go and withdraw money from the ATM, and it says, do you want a receipt? Yeah, I say, no. I just don't want to know. Yeah? So, to create money, you have to bring order into your relationship with money. And I had to start evaluating. When we say we do tracking expenses, it's because I did it for myself. No one ever told me track your expenses. I just decided, let me start understanding what led to some of these situations. And that's when I found things like lunch money and other things. So we may be complaining how we are in debt and can't pay debt, but then you're spending 100,000 shillings per year on lunch. So you've got to start understanding, what do I have, what do I own, who do I owe, when do I have to pay it back, what does the insurance policy actually mean? One of the biggest things is vision. What's your vision? You have to tell wealth where to go, so you have to have a vision. Yeah? You can't move towards what you cannot see. And we are not taught in school to have vision, are we? We're taught this is the way things work, and this is the rule book, and that's how things work. But nothing moves forward without a vision. You need to have a vision for your life. You need to owe it to yourself to have a vision and to actually write it down. And vision is not complicated. It's simply, what do you see? Do you see something for your life? You may not know how to get it now, but do you see something? And it's called vision because it's actually visual. There's a picture in your head. It could be a picture of the car. Yeah, it could be a picture of how you want your lifestyle to look like, but you have to have a vision. Why? Because the way you deal with money when you have a vision is very different. Money is no longer, it no longer defines you. It's not about having the latest car, latest phone all the time. Money becomes a resource for that vision. So you deal with money as a resource, not because I have it, I have to spend it. Many times when we have money and we are spending money, like we have faced a lot of the time, it is usually because we don't have a vision. We have not told money where to go. So when you've not told money where to go, there are so many things and so many people who will happily tell you where your money should go. Yeah? The sales, the shops, all these phones we should be buying, all these gadgets we should be buying, all these places we should be entertaining ourselves. And with wealth creation, remember, it's not just, one of the things that has been very profound in my life, it's not about not enjoying your life. Do we all want to enjoy our lives? Would we all like to drive a nicer car? Would we like to all go on holidays? You've got to make it happen. When I realized lunch is a holiday, that was the biggest thing for me. So there's all these practical things I could do with 100,000, but for me, what hit home was lunch is a holiday. And then when I started teaching, we always make sure to tell people, yes, there are all these practical things we have to do. But at the end of the day, that's why vision is important. What do you want your life to look like? I can publicly say I want to travel the world. And because of these principles, applying these principles, let me tell you, I have traveled the world with lunch money. And just recently, I traveled to Las Vegas with lunch money. Yes, for my birthday. That is what vision, but I told myself 5 years ago that I will do that. I will turn a certain age in Las Vegas. Yeah, a certain age, yeah, in Las Vegas. But I said it 5 years ago, and I've done it. So wealth creation is not this humongous process that you're going to sacrifice, you're going to have a bad life, you can never do anything nice. Wealth creation and financial planning and having a relationship with your money and learning your money and understanding your money actually puts you in the best place to actually live the life you want. And I think the messages we don't hear enough are, you can live the life you want. Have we ever been told that? And we keep thinking the people who get to live that life, there's something special about them. There's nothing special about them. The only difference is, are you going to be intentional about it? When Waceke came in the beginning, he talked about real estate, he talked about shares, he talked about business opportunities online. So we can see is there potential to create wealth for each and every one of us? Have you identified things that you already have that you can start using? It could be time, it could be money, it could be a job that if you are a bit more intentional, you can get a bit more further. It could be networks, it could be an idea, a seed that needs to be watered. You have something that can be used. But let me tell you, at the end of the day, how people make money. It is called supply and demand. When there's too much supply of something, what happens? The demand goes down. Do you make money that way? No. But when there's high demand of something and less supply, you make money. The real estate places that have done well is because those locations had high demand and the supply was limited, so the prices of real estate shot up. The shares that go up in the stock market, it is because there is more demand for that share than supply. As people who want to create wealth, our job is to identify what demand can I play a part in supply. It could be, I've noted in this town they don't have stationery, I'm supplying. I've seen so many online businesses, children's clothes, etc., I am supplying. It could be this share on the stock market. I've read this IT sector, and if I invest in this share, I know in the long term, and remember, wealth creation is a long-term game, I can supply. I realized there was a need, like for people like me, who did not understand what wealth creation is, to learn practically how to make money. So what did I do? I supplied. Let me tell you what else is also a shortage of. What do you think the supply of complainers in Kenya is? High or low? The supply? High. What do you think the supply of people who've got initiative, creativity, take responsibility, are go-getters, have a vision for their life, will take the necessary action, what do you think that supply is? Low. To create wealth, which side do you have to be on of the supply chain? In that scenario, do you have to be on? So even before we look about resources, what we don't have, it's really about, am I going to be, and we are not lacking, this country is not lacking the guys who are comfortable, who are willing to take the easy way out, who are willing to complain, who are willing to have things done for them. Let me tell you, we are not lacking in supply. We are lacking in supply of the people who take initiative, find out what it is they want, find out what it is about their purpose that they want to fulfill. Take initiative, take responsibility, and take action. There is no competition there. So if you're willing to do that, and I think all the people who have stood up here, that's simply what they've done. Their own attitudes, they've decided on what side of the supply chain they are going to be on, and that is why they actually took action. So at the end of the day, wealth is a choice. Can I please repeat that? Wealth is a choice. And I remember I've constantly had to tell that to myself. And when I tell you, look at what you have, it is because there's a point in my life I had to literally look what I have. Let me tell you, when the ATM laughs at you for trying to remove money, trying to remove the 200 bob that is in the ATM, you literally realize, what do I have? And there's a thought that has always come to me, even when I face challenges. That thought is always there, and it is, Waceke, you are mentally able. Are you guys mentally able? That is enough, and you are in a position of privilege because you are mentally able. So even though you go to God and give all those excuses, He's going to tell you, hello, sunshine, I gave you a brain. Yeah? Use them. Even if there's nothing, use the brain. Then on top of that, you've gone to school. On top of that, you have a job. On top of that, you have an income. On top of that, you have supportive family. On top of that, you have an idea. On top of that, you are voted best what in your organization. Hey? Surely, ladies and gentlemen, can we commit to using what we have? And the passion for Centonomy lies in that. We believe you can create wealth. We believe it's just not us, it's just not the people who have done it. We are still in a learning journey. Wealth creation is a process, not a destination. But let me tell you what the process does. It fulfills you. It makes you feel alive. You start to identify what is uniquely yours to have. Because there is something that was meant for you that was not meant for anybody else. And the worst thing is to leave this earth without discovering that. What is it that you want? What is it that you feel? What is it that disturbs you? And sometimes that's how we point to passion. What is it that disturbs you? What do you want? What is your dream? What is that desired lifestyle that you want to have? Let me tell you one thing I desire. Let me just be honest. One day, to walk into a showroom and buy a car. I mean, no at Japan, Expo, dealer, then they mess with the mileage. You can tell this guy is 10 years old, but they're telling you he's done 30,000 clicks, which is a lie. Yeah? Yes, let me tell you, that's one of my desires. Oh, need car. Enter Uber. Go to Subaru Kenya. Drive out 2016 version Subaru. Imagine, where you're removing, I've never experienced removing the plastic from a car. Never. Yeah, never. I've never seen plastic in a car where the mileage is 0. That is my desired lifestyle. I desire to travel more. Yeah. I desire to build a business that is different, that is unique, that does things differently, that has a culture that makes sure the people who work in that business are wealthier than me. I desire you to be wealthy. And I think that's one of the things with Centonomy. Even after you do the Centonomy classes, we have now started mentorship for the people who are our alumni. Because we know if the people who come for Centonomy, have access to Centonomy, do create wealth. I can guarantee you, not just this nation, this continent is going to change. Can you be part of that supply chain with me? Okay, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.